Welcome to another edition of From the Bleachers Sports Show. Your host, your buddy, old pal, Tom. And we are talking about, giving my thoughts here on NWA Power Episode 3. And that was titled The Twilight of Tim Storm. And in case you guys haven't figured it out, or you don't know, I am really loving NWA Power. I am liking AEW as well. But if I would have to compare the two, AEW and NWA Power, I probably, honestly, I'd go with NWA Power being my number one. And that's, I think, all right, because, you know, it's NWA Power is not for everyone. It's, to me, if you want truly something different, you know, recognizing the old school feel, then I think this is truly your way to go, I think, with NWA Power. You know, nonetheless, you know, a couple of things. And this episode, it really wasn't wrestling heavy, per se. It was more focused on, I think, pushing through the storylines, which I think is important as you're heading into your pay-per-view. You know, don't get me wrong, you had some wrestling, but it was mostly like, you know, to continue to push that, you know, push the storylines. We've seen Tim Storm, and I think where we're going with Tim Storm, it's a little bit, you know, we see Tim Storm comes out now that he could no longer receive a shot at the 10 pounds of gold. He's contemplating, you know, what he should do. You know, he's 53 years old and he's kind of thinking about retirement. And out comes Eli Drake saying, no. You have plenty left to do. Be my tag partner. So we see them, you know, Tim Storm a little hesitant, not really sure what he's going to do. He's like, I'm going to let you know later. That main event, when they're going up against the Dawsons, Drake, Storm go against the Dawsons, right? And you see kind of a clusterfuck finish where miscue by Storm causes Drake to go into the post, hurts his shoulder. They play that off, and Tim Storm eventually gets picked apart by the Dawsons, gets pinned. I think that right there, where you see that this is going towards, I think you're going to see the story of Drake and Tim Storm evolve, go further down the road. So I think that's going to be a nice matchup. This kind of, I think, is the setup to it. Maybe they continue to tag and Tim Storm, you know, messes up, and then Eli Drake, you know, could say, listen, maybe he thinks that Tim Storm is jealous of him. So he, you know, and that kind of could sets up the feud as well. So there are many different possibilities. I think that's where we're going towards, Drake and Storm. And I think sooner than later. Aldis, who actually kind of in between right now, if he's a face or a heel, Aldis actually does come out at the end of the telecast to check on Storm. You know, in prior interviews, he says he has all the respect for Tim Storm, just that Tim Storm can't cut it. He's not on his level. You know, so interesting to see where that will go. How does all this now play into this, being that Tim Storm cannot even get a title shot no more? Camille, they continue to evolve the storyline where Camille does not explain, does not talk. So that's constant, ongoing here. I like also what I've seen from, you know, Kingston. Kingston, man, he could cut a damn good promo. Beginning of the telecast, he comes out, you know, says it short and sweet. that, you know, he's from where he's from. They don't play around. They take it, you know, they settle it with fists. Challenges, speaks for him, and Homicide wants to challenge the Dawsons. Dawsons say, you know, not right now, pretty much, just not giving them the match that they wanted. You had a women's match as well, which was short, but again, I think it develops character. There was a mention in that character. Maybe there's something that I noticed that they mentioned, and I don't know, it was something subtle by Jim Cornette. He mentioned, you know, he mentioned that her name escapes me. It was the women that were fighting, and one of them, he mentioned that one of them was a big fan of grunge, music, which is why she decided to join NWA, because her musical idol, Billy Corgan, you know, here he is, runs NWA. So you're interested to see what will develop because of that. Does that come into play a couple of weeks from now? It just, you know, and this is an hour show, and again, this episode just kind of went through. There was never really a point where you find yourself, you know, being, you know, like bored and kind of just wanting it to end, right? I think, like if I was mentioning as well, it furthers the storylines, and you're also, you know, being introduced to, again, a guy like Colt Cabana, who's more of a comedy type of wrestler. Also, you have Josephus too. That interaction with Colt Cabana and Josephus, I think this is key, because this kind of introduces these characters to the audience, where there's a little bit of something for everyone. I think Colt Cabana, you know, his type of character is geared towards the younger crowd, possibly, you know, to kind of rope them in and get them watching. So I do think that, you know, they're trying to expand, and you've seen it this week, and they're trying to expand, you know, by their storylines, try to expand where they're able to reach all demographics, which I think it's key. You know, remember, guys, they're coming up with an NWA, you know, they're coming up with a pay-per-view, and everyone says, yeah, they want to do everything, you know, they want it to succeed, they're going to buy shirts, they're going to support it. Well, when that pay-per-view comes, now's your chance to support NWA Power, because remember, NWA Power, NWA does not have that type of money that an AEW has, or you know, a WWE. So they're going to really need our help if, and I don't know their finances, but if you want this company to continue to succeed, to advance, to go, push comes to shove, you have to give them some type of support. You know, pay-per-views, t-shirts, so on and so forth. You know, we've seen Aaron Stevens in there as well. More chops than Ric Flair. Some of the lines that he said. Crowd just absolutely pops for him. Pop for him the first time they see him. He manipulates them so easy. They chant Captain Morgan, silence, getting them to boo him. Guy is such a talented. By the way, what is going on with the pirates? Like, I'm like legitimately confused. Is he in a movie? Is this just his character a pirate of some sorts? I'm like legitimately confused. Like, it looks so realistic. The commercials are great. I cannot complain. Cannot complain. You know. And Tim Storm too. Just he's like the lovable dad in the sitcom. Mama Storm, you know. You know. I love you, Jim, but don't steal my heat. Another line that you heard during that telecast. That's a hell of a line. And even Corny there cracked up on that one. So there are a lot of like one-liners too in these promos. Short, sweet, and to the point. Joe Galley, you couldn't get a date on a tombstone. Damn. The oldest champion of the world, Kingston. Listen. You even heard a Dawson's Creek chant. What more can I say? I love it. You're progressing the storylines. You know, if I had to rate NWA Power, you know, easily 8 out of 10. 8 out of 10 for NWA Power. Hope all is well. Look forward to speaking to you guys very, very soon.